always disturb my screen recording. I don't know. There may be some reason, or absolutely, it's maybe something to do with the memory also, because it's going to consume at least 2 GB or 1 GB RAM or something. So uh, typically, a developer might not prefer the emulator to be used for all his reason. You can directly connect your device in a USB port. Your Android, if sufficient drivers have been installed, you can see the device in Android Studio as well. You can directly install your application whenever you hit run. If you do not have a device, of course, you need to have a dependency over emulator. And also, it is helping us to virtualize the latest upgrades or versions, whatever it's being released, because your device may not be having a latest up-to-date software running, I mean Android version running. So this emulator I can anytime create with the latest version of Android running, so I can simply see how things goes on in latest Android operating system version. This emulator is based off Android version 5.0. It's the latest OS. So you may see some sort of navigation changes because it's part of a new edition, maybe because we notice the notification. Uh, this one is slightly been modified, not like normal notifications what you see in your real device. It slightly looks different. Maybe Android have worked on, or maybe they reworked on this notifications or something. It may come in your device. And also Android being released in various vendor modified versions also. For example, if you buy a Android phone from Samsung, if you buy an Android phone from Motorola or some other vendors, they will have their own changes done added on the top of the vanilla or probably the real Android which is released by Google. In fact, it's not Google also. Open Handset Alliance, OHA we call, because Android uh, it's having a consortium which manages the Android development as any other releases, including Google. There are more than 70 or hundreds companies involved into Android development or support system. So those alliance, that group is now called Open Handset Alliance. So this particular group consisting Google, Samsung, HTC, and almost all the mobile phone manufacturers, uh, maybe excluding some companies like Nokia, Windows, Apple. These guys are not part of Open Handset Alliance. So now they manage certain level of Android development. They contribute something on the Android development. So each vendors have their unique changes done on the top of real or original Android release. What I'm showing you is the vanilla Android, or maybe the one which is released directly from Open Handset Alliance or Google. So it is unmodified version. It is having no logo, or it doesn't have a particular company projection or logos added. It's a pure Android. So it's a better one to test and start with. But most of the Android which is available in the market by different vendors may have some sort of UI modified, and they name it for something else. For example, Samsung renames the UI, library as Touch Wish, something like that. I don't remember. HTC makes it as a HTC Sense, and they modify the UI a lot. So you may not see the real Android experience. If you really want to see the real Android experience and you want to receive the latest update directly from Google, you can go for buying a Nexus phones. I mean the phones being sold by a various vendor having a prefix Nexus will have vanilla Android. And of course vanilla Android means what I'm trying to say, it's a real one. Uh, and the updates would be directly sent by Google. So you will always get the latest updates first in hand experience, instead of other phones buying from Samsung or some other people. They probably, the vendor has to modify the Android version, then only the updates will come. So I've seen most of the Android developers, like me, prefer to carry a Nexus phone because they want to be up to date whatever Android versions being released. And not only that, you can root the Android phone and get the administrative access. You can install your own modified version of Android. There are third party vendors, not even commercial vendors like interest groups such as Paranoid Android, and there are plenty of ROMs available in the market that also you can install. The particular installer, or probably the Nexus phone have does not restrict to install the modified version of Android also, because Nexus phone primarily meant for developers who wants to experience the real Android updates from vendor directly, I mean that Google directly. So that's the reason. In this case, this phone model is a Google Galaxy Nexus. Nexus phones would be manufactured in partnership with various vendors. Uh, right now, Nexus 5 has come. I remember. I think Google co-branded it with Motorola. I remember Motorola Nexus 5 or 6. I don't know. 6, slightly larger screen it has. 4 was from LG. So 4 and 5 also from LG, and this 3, I think this could be 3, I don't remember, it was from Samsung Galaxy Nexus, that's why the prefix is there. So it's up to you. So I think those things, if you really want to experience a real Android experience, you can go for Nexus model. Okay, you will see the similar interface. So this is all with an Android phone, but we had to start our development. I'm going to make something clear. Do everything. This action bar activity, I'm going to start with the pure one, so it's called activity. So if your intention to write a UI for Android application, all you need to create your own class and make sure it extends from activity. That's all you need, and you're ready to start your development, because the activity is a parent class which has already connected with the video drivers or whatever display system of your Android operating system. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel by writing everything from your own. If you really want to display something, just inherit everything from a class called activity, and then start doing your modification and reach and attain your specific UI. So that's it actually requires. But the activity, instead of action bar activity, I made this activity mean everything: action bar activity, or fragment activity, list activity. There are other modified activity versions are available. In turn, everything inherited from activity only. Certain additional parts were added, that's why I slightly renamed it. Of course, this main activity is my own activity. I named it because I'm going to inherit from a base class called activity. So you can name it. That's the power of object-oriented programming. Anyone, anybody, anytime can inherit and modify the behavior and give a new feature. So of course, that's what I'm trying to do here. An activity, this is where your display thing starts. Since I removed all the code, I would also check how things goes on in my UI. So I'm going to keep my device ready. It is executing some tasks. This line, if you just keep an eye on it, this kind of loading mean the Android Studio trying to execute some code, so you have to wait until it completes. I hit the run button, it is doing something, so I'll have to wait until it completes. So it's trying to install the same code, whatever been written on the Android phone, or typically in this case Android uh, emulator. So it is the Gradle build, or probably something it is trying to execute, and finally it is trying to show a notice saying that choose a running device, or shall I install this application to this device, is what the particular dialog box asks you. If you want to create something else, you can go ahead, otherwise you can simply select this one, double tap it, and you should see your code running directly in your device. I don't see anything, but something got installed. The obvious reason, I haven't even written even single UI element so far. That's why the blank screen. But at least I got the blank screen, mean my application is installed. because the main activity does not contain any code. It does not have even a single line of code, so that something has been added over there, but nothing has been added so far. So at least you got an empty string or empty screen stating that your application is installed. And I hope most of the people know how to use Android phones, but I would like to tell few things. This is a back button. Uh, Back button typically a kind of history tool, so which will take you from what do you say, the paginated view. For example, you are browsing internet, you may go ahead and view various pages. Clicking back, it will take you to the previous pages. At one point there is no history or there is nothing to show me, it will close it down. So a back button will try to close your application if there is no previous history present. If there is a previous history or any previous tag present, it will try to go back. So for example, in this case, if I hit back, I got my application closed. It means yes, the application had a single screen and there was no previous screen. So naturally, when I hit back, the application got closed. And remember, this is my inference. Example app. So you can again open it by finding your application over there. Again, the center button looks like a circle. Android has modified the default look and feel. Before it was looking like a home button. Now it looks like some sort of circle. So if you click it, will minimize your application. Mean your application is not closed. Your application simply got minimized. It's same like your browser windows. If you want to say an application, if I hit the cross button, it's like back. So if I hit back, it's like cross, like I close my application totally. Instead, if I click the minimize button, the home button, the application still runs in the taskbar, assuming your Windows system, but it has lost the UI, but it is still running behind the screen. So you have to assume clicking back button, chances are there your application may permanently closed, and hitting home button, your application never closed, but your application gets minimized. This is how Android handles the navigation, and this is a default feature. And other one is a vendor customized one, depending on the feature, various options. Typically a shortcuts, currently opened application or recently opened application, it typically displays, but it is a vendor modified one. Phone to phone it may differ. Of course we don't need to worry about it. Remember, this is the latest addition added in 5.0. Instead of this thing, it's like a cards view, like stacked like this, so you can dismiss if you do not want your applications. I'm not sure about whether this application will totally close the application or simply minimize, but typically it is a vendor modified one. So this is a latest addition. I think the Android in 5.0 they have added this. Okay, so if your application may be either closed or hidden, minimized. So any attempt to bring it back, all you need to go to your launcher. This we call launcher. These are all the words we often use in Android system. Launcher mean list of applications. So what you see, the list of applications, mean this is where the launcher buttons are available. So all you need to go back and find your application and click it and bring it on. So possibilities: hitting back button may close your application. Hitting home button, the center one, may close your application, may not close your application, but will hide your application. Of course, it is equivalent to minimize. Mean your application is still running, but it has lost the focus on the screen. I mean, it doesn't show in the screen. There are a couple of scenarios I may encounter, or probably I may relate with this. Right now, you are viewing your application. Remember, you are seeing your application. Suddenly, a phone call comes. What will happen? What will happen? So phone has to do a phone job. Of course, the phone call is the highest priority one. So naturally, dialer screen will pop up. When dialer screen pops up, mean usually dialer screen will show the incoming number and option to pick up or hang up or something which is going to come, but typically will hide your application won't be shown. In that case, your application is minimized. You may assume in that way your application is still running, but some other application has taken over the screen, effectively putting your application into background or probably in hidden or minimized mode. So I can even see that part if I trigger the phone call also, but this is what is going to happen. When a phone call comes, your application go to minimized, the phone dialer screen comes, and when call is over, again you will get back your screen from where you left. So that's what's going to happen. In such a case, a telephone call does not close your application, simply minimize your application. The same applicable if you if you decide to switch from another one application to another application. Some user prefer to hit home button and go to another application, saying that some sort of application is there. This is the application I created, so it goes. So in this case, both the applications running, but one application has got minimized, another one has got the foreground. So I can see the two applications running, but I'm not sure about whether it is showing a running application or most recently opened application. But what I can assume, two applications are running, but one has lost the UI. It's not showing, but other one is showing. It means one of our application has got temporarily or maybe paused. Another one is active. So pause mean it is not closed, but temporarily it has lost the UI. So I can switch to another application. In this case, that particular application has lost the UI in this case, and now this has come to a foreground. So these are all the sequence you need to understand before understanding how the activity lifecycle works or UI lifecycle works. Okay, but these are all the user point of view. As a programmer, how you will identify whether your application has been closed or minimized? That's where the difficulty comes. That's pretty easiest part. In fact, Android gives a various methods of functions to identify the life cycle of an activity or what really happened to an application. I'm going to extend them. A method which is there in activity called onCreate, which is having access specifier protected. It could be private or whatever, public, it doesn't matter. So it has all the signature of what we saw in inheritance. Typically it has an override annotation and it has a method. It has some sort of argument type is called bundle is an object, looks like what kind of object I had to see. And it is saying that super has come, the very first line itself means okay, let whatever the default execution should happen, and after this line I can write whatever code, say I'm going to write like this. It means it is going to print something as soon as my application becomes active, and I should see this in console output. This is a standard system console output, but Android recommends instead of system out println, they have one customized console output which will be helpful for us to filter or sort or organize our debugging output. So the same will do the job. Log debug log.d it should do some sort of imports. The code recommendation sometime helpful would be if you use the control space, it will try to give you a suggestion. Not only do that, it will also import the necessary packages on the top. We don't need to manually do them. So anyway, I'm running in the screen mode, sorry, presentation mode. So I'll show you how the import happened really. It means I can say which app is actually or which activity is printing the log. So in this case, I'm going to type main activity. So instead of this one, I'm going to use this hereafter to print the console. Of course, both will work typically, but system out println will simply print the console. I cannot identify because in a phone or a device there may be multiple application keep printing various console output. In that, which line is printed by my application, I may not be knowing. But in this case, I will know. Okay, this output is going to be printed by main activity, and it is coming as what I put. We have to put this into testing.